Salut and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Sylkin and this is my first video on this channel. A little bit about me: I am a lover of many things. Books, movies, fashion, Prince Nikolai of Denmark, and of course, baked goods. And those are all things that you'll see on my channel. I was inspired by two of my favorite shows, Say Yes to the Dress and Next in Fashion on Netflix. Now, I am a lover of fashion and I wish I could make my own clothes, but unfortunately, I do not know how to sew. And so to learn, I've made these challenges for myself. And today's challenge is to take a wedding dress and ruin it and create a single dress out of it. From the symbol of love to a symbol of being forever alone. And that's what I aim to do in this video. So let's see how I did.
To find our needed wedding dress, we went to the closest thing we have to a thrift shop, Value Village. Keeping in mind that I am broke and a student, we sifted through the array of early 90s and early 2000s clothing to hopefully find something, which we eventually did.
Oh, we found them.
After looking through the three options the Value Village had, we finally found something that was worthwhile. And only $20, which is good for my wallet. I realized this was my only chance to reenact Say Yes to the Dress until I was like 50, so I took my shot. My sister was not pleased. I tried to get her to play along, but she was concerned about getting kicked out of the store and being embarrassed. Ugh, teenagers, am I right? She was just too cool to have fun. I then tried on the cheapest option, and honestly, this one was the best. It had billowing sleeves, a big train, and it did not break the bank, which was very enjoyable for me. My sister thought it was ugly, but actually started recreating Say Yes to the Dress, so
This is the one, Kaden?
Sure. Are you saying yes to this dress?
I think I'm saying yes to the dress.
With the cheap wedding dress in tow that was outdated, we were ready to go. But looking back now, I just want to remind you all, something was missing. What is that something? Look at my head. What is not on my head? I somehow forgot my gray beret that I bought in Paris in a sketchy subway shop in Value Village, where it was probably taken by a thrifter without my knowledge. Goodbye, beautiful gray beret. Hopefully someone finds you who actually wears hats. Anyways, after that ordeal, my sister ate narrow bar incorrectly, and we made our way home with the dress. I was really worried that the dress may be haunted because it was late 70s vintage and I wasn't sure why someone would get rid of their wedding dress. Like, in my opinion, it'd probably just be because of death or divorce, and I didn't want any ghosts or bad spirits on my side for cutting into this dress. So I decided to hold a witch blessing of the dress ceremony because I identify more Wicca out of any spirituality. Although I'm not a witch, I just like to believe I am. So I invited all my family to come. They didn't show up because they think I'm crazy. But with a couple spells on the internet, I ended up writing a list of all the things I didn't want, tried to burn it, didn't work because I live in Canada, and it was snowing, so paper does not burn. Also, I didn't have a fire, I used a lighter. So instead, I just stuffed it in the snow. Hopefully that's good enough. We'll see in the spring if my house is haunted or not. And then I said a beautiful blessing spell that I found on the internet under the light of the full moon. There was no moon. I tried. It was good enough in my opinion, and moved on. Hopefully the dress is not haunted. I don't know. We will see in the future. With the dress no longer cursed, I made out a sketch of what I wanted it to look like while watching Tangled the series. Best show ever. Everyone should watch it. As I stated earlier, I was very much inspired by Next in Fashion on Netflix, and there's this one episode where they cut the sleeves off of a dress because they've run out of time, so I decided to do this on my dress as like a first cut. Don't do this. This is a very bad idea. Do not cut the sleeves off. Do not do it. Sylkin, do not do it. I had no idea how to make a pattern, so I watched a bunch of YouTube videos on how to do it. But basically, you're going to measure how long you want it to be, your chest and your waist, and you're going to divide those numbers into three panels because I wanted it to be a 3-panel top. Making sure that they go down on an angle because cinch in on the waist. Making sure, as you can see I'm pointing out here, that there is 2 inches of extra space on both sides and at the bottom. For the back, basically just do the same thing except make it a rectangle because we don't really have any curves because we ain't curvalicious definition. I forget the rest of the song. Anyways, and make sure that it's a rectangle with a line in the middle because we're going to put a zipper there. I then spent about half of P.S. I Still Love You, the To All the Boys That Loved Before sequel, taking the skirt lining out from the skirt, because I thought that that was a great idea. Turns out that was a stupid idea. Don't do that. That's another bad idea. Do not do that because otherwise it will be see-through. After that stupid step that was very much unneeded, you're going to layer the train of the dress, pin your cutout pattern pieces to it, and then cut out all of the pieces. Once they're cut out, you'll be able to sew them together and get started on the top. What I did was unpin the physical paper because I don't want that in my dress, and then sewed 3 of the sides for each of the top pieces together. And then with the bottom side, I flipped it inside out and then sewed that one together too. I did this for all of the top pieces until I had something that resembled the shape I was looking for. Then I laid it out and sewed across the lines that I'm pointing out here until I had an actual top. I did the same thing for the bottom 2 pieces, except I attached them to our front and sewed it all together, making sure that it was just a big long piece of fabric because I wanted to sew a zipper in at the back. Then I spent about 3 hours unpinning the skirt from the skirt liner. This was another bad idea. I don't know why I did this because I ended up sewing a waistband on the dress after anyways. But by this point it was 2 a.m. and I had no thoughts that were correct. By this point, it was 2 a.m. before Valentine's Day when I wanted to wear the dress. I ended up sewing the skirt to the top incorrectly and ended up making a giant bubble that was not attractive. It kind of looked like a peplum, and my 2 a.m. brain was like, this is fine. Anyways, I gave up for the night and decided just to trim the skirt. I did this wrong too, but whatever. At this point, we were just making mistakes and flying with it because what else are we supposed to do?
Hello everyone, it is Valentine's Day and I just woke up. It is 8 o'clock. I have to leave for 10 and my dress is nowhere near ready, so I have to go sew. Let's do this.
Please excuse my greasy self. There was no time to shower because we were in disaster mode right now. We had 2 hours to get this dress made. I ended up spending those entire 2 hours unpinning all the mistakes I made the night before. So let's just say I did not make it to class that day. You know what they say, after 2 a.m. that's when your worst mistakes are made. Oh well, okay, anyway, so then I actually sewed the skirt properly onto the top. You're supposed to do this good side to good side so that there is no strange, ugly peplum. After that, I watched a video on how to put a zipper in. I got about 30 seconds into that video before I turned it off because I have ADHD and I could not handle that. And I just improvised and put it on. I think it worked. Yeah. Once you've sewn the skirt onto the top, you're going to measure out your leg length and then you're going to put a measuring tape onto the skirt and measure it out and pin wherever you want the length to be. I ended up measuring about 1 Rock Johnson thigh and continued going through it until it was all the same length. Then, speedily, try to hem your skirt as evenly as possible on the pinned lines that you have made, and do it as fast as you can because you have now missed your first class and you are running late. Once the skirt is hemmed, you're going to probably have a giant slit in the back, and you don't want to show off that booty, so what you're going to do is you're going to sew both pieces together at the end of the zipper to make it less presumptuous. Next, you want to look into your giant mess that you've made out of scraps and pick out a piece that you think looks appropriate for a sleeve. Then what you're going to do is fold it in half, measure out how thick you want the sleeve and how long you want it, and pin in place. Then you're going to look in your pile again and find a piece that looks almost the same, if you can find one, and do the exact same thing. Then sew both ends of the sleeve until you've made a sort of little pillowcase. You're going to stick your hand in like you're sticking your hand into a puppet. I'm so sorry. And you'll end up with a strange looking giant noodle or eclair-like thing. You can tell I'm hungry right now. If you're like me and don't have a dress form because you are broke, what you're going to do is put the dress on yourself. You are your own dress form. Oh my gosh. So you're going to pin your eclairs into place where you want them on your dress. This might require some help for the back, but if you're home alone like me, what you're going to do is do it in front of a mirror and pray to all the sewing gods that you don't kill yourself. Next, you're going to sew your eclairs onto your dress where you pin them. Because of my 2 a.m. mistakes the day before, I had made a bunch of sewing marks on the bodice of my dress, so I ended up making a waistband for it. For this, you're going to do the exact same things that you did for the sleeves, except a really long scrap piece out of your junk pile. You're going to cut it, pin it, measure it, sew it together, flip it inside out like a sock puppet, and then you're going to sew it onto your dress. After this, I promptly gave up and wore it for the rest of the day. Please ignore my sister in the background, she is dying. I wore it and it didn't get any compliments, it wasn't done, but I thought it looked pretty good. My mom thought it was ugly.